You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889. Thank you for listening to Community Forum. My name's Johnny Chandler. I'm the owner of KCCC 930 AM and the host of Community Forum. And with me today is Lenora Mendez. She's the executive director of the Carlsbad Literacy Program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Good. We had the big regional director on Community Forum a while ago. I don't really remember his name, but he was based in Midland.
John Trischetti.
Yeah, John. Yeah, and it was very fascinating, the work that his group and as well as your group are doing in the community to try to help up that English literacy level for individuals that don't speak English as a first language. Living in Carlsbad, we know that there are quite a few native Spanish speakers in the community, which I think is great. I love the culturalism, really. I love the idea of hearing a different language because I only speak one. That would be English. I'm going to be the traditional American who doesn't know another language, didn't try when he was younger, and probably not going to try as an adult either too much. But I think it's great. And so my point is there's a lot of Spanish speakers here. There's a lot of work here in our community as well. And so as a result, there's a lot of individuals that come here for work. They put their family in school here. They join the community. They become real community members. And I think that maybe on the hindsight of that is it's important that they do try to learn the English language a little bit, since so much of what we do is in English.
Absolutely. There's a definite need for people to be able to be bilingual. And so that's kind of short, right now going on in the community. We focus on English, but I've actually had quite a few requests for people to want to learn Spanish, and that's just basically to communicate better at work.
Right.
So, there is a large number of Hispanics, Latinos that have moved into the community, and so we need to go ahead and embrace that and embrace the change that comes with it. Teaching them English is essential, and it's good for everyone. We're just here to communicate.
Okay, so let's talk about your background a little bit before we get into the mission of the Carlsbad Literacy Program. You've been the executive director, I think you told me before we started recording, September 1st, 2021.
Correct.
Right, so you've been the executive director for a year.
For a year.
Were you able to open up the minute you became executive director?
No, not exactly. Opening the doors, it was basically trying to figure out how do you run a literacy program.
Okay.
I mean, that was the number one question. So much had changed. We had hybrid, we had virtual. I mean, exactly what was acceptable, what works. And so basically it was opening the doors to a dusty building, rebuilding it from the bottom up, and just going out, and I pretty much just started communicating with whoever would listen. Right. How do we open? Who were the students before? Are they still needing services? Exactly. What can we do? And where can I get the volunteers to come back?
Okay. So where did your passion come? I mean, what's your history, your passion, your education to become the executive director of the Carlsbad Literacy Program? So how did you come into this, basically?
Well, I always have been in education, so I worked a short period for different agencies that just had a high-risk population, and I also worked for the charter school for several years. And when you work for a charter school, you wear many hats, and so you don't go in one day and and just stick to the classroom. You pretty much kind of do whatever's needed. And so I'm also, someone that's from the community. I grew up in Malaga, New Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
Graduated from Carlsbad High School. And, my parents, they speak Spanish and English. They were both graduates. My grandmother came from Monterrey, Mexico. And so she's the one that pretty much inspired me to continue to try that communication. I helped her attain her citizenship. So we used to practice, and I used to teach her the Pledge of Allegiance and, who was the president at the time.
Right.
So that was kind of just something that I grew up with. And I just always felt that, Hispanics just needed that edge. We needed, to be educated and to have that chance. And the only way to do that is to speak English.
So you're a natural educator.
Yes.
Right. So you're naturally passionate about education, and this is a really great way for you to continue that continue that education and to help adults better themselves in the community.
Absolutely.
Right. That's like, so what happened before September 1st, 2021? I mean, I can only imagine learning a second language is incredibly difficult in general. And when you're adult, it's kind of even a little bit harder than when you're younger and it becomes something you naturally do. I can only imagine trying to learn how to speak a second language or learning through a hybrid Zoom class or something like that.
Correct.
Right. That just seems real difficult.
Well, actually, I tried that. So initially, we were short of volunteers, and I was trying to pick up services, and we had received a grant, and so I was trying to kind of pick up our technology part. And I thought, well, there's resources out there. So I actually tried streaming a English class. And it wasn't very successful. They just were not interested. It was intimidating. It was difficult because the instructor didn't speak Spanish.
Okay.
So after, that just didn't work, then I revamped and I thought, okay, what can I do? So I actually teach the classes on Wednesdays. I jumped in and just said, hey, let's give it a shot. And initially, 10 students came in right away. And then I got up to 18.
All right.
So I had to even try to see if I could find a second teacher and someone to help. So now we're down to Wednesdays and Thursdays. Now I have recruited somebody, and we're going to start that second class.
All right. That's excellent. So I think you were mentioning you have 26 total students now.
Correct.
Right. Obviously looking to expand that more. What's the max that you can hold? How many students do you think you can handle? Or, you would just expand extra days if you had the ability, right? Yeah,
we would just continue. And it's actually would be wonderful if we could get up to like 150, 250 students. That's all contingent upon grant writing as well. So it's just asking if I can show that I have improved and I have the numbers, then there's money out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies here that end up hiring primary Spanish speakers. Right? Initially, there's a lot of those companies. And so if these companies wanted to, help close the language barrier when it comes to their facility and their company, you would be a great place for their companies to do that.
Correct. All they have to do is, give me a call, and or even if the student just wants to come in on their own, and we do company referrals. We could actually even cater if we have enough volunteers. We can cater specifically to just the employees and have an employee hour. But definitely that is something that we really are trying to kind of get that information out there to companies. And there's a lot of people in town that would actually I have a couple of them that excuse their employees because they know that Wednesday night is class. And so they're already home and ready, to attend.
And so you're not teaching English to the point to where I could submit a college English paper to my professor, right? That's not the goal here. We're not trying to make English teachers, right?
Right.
So that was the whole point of it. It's conversational English is what you're trying to teach.
Yes, basic conversational English. Key terms, days of the week, seasons. I've been doing a lesson on telling time.
Yeah.
So things that are going to help with the communication. So there's
and their day-to-day activities.
Absolutely. What are things in a house? What are things in a store? When you go to the market, how do you order food? Those are things that, people go to, drive-thrus all the time, get confused, end up with something wrong, and they just kind of deal with it.
Right. They're like, well, I guess this is what I wanted to order.
Exactly.
Right. So there's a goal that you guys have when you do have new students, right? It's not like, I guess they can come in and learn a couple of days, and if they get busy, they could probably, move on. But what's the ultimate goal when you take new students, right? Is it the GED or some other type of test you were mentioning before that I can't remember?
Right. We do offer the HiSET, and so that's just another option in New Mexico for high school equivalency. Gives you the credential. It, you're able to apply to college. Right now, I have a couple of students that started in English class, and through motivation and just knowing that we also offered the test prep and everything in Spanish, they've expanded into also attending HiSET classes. So they're looking at getting their high school equivalency, and that's the thing. That's giving options. There's a lot of people that just need a hand up. Everybody does, and so that's what we're here for. We're able to provide these services. We're able to provide them for free, and so this is something that I really am passionate about, because you see them come in and they're learning English, and then all of a sudden, hey, I want to, I can do this. I can get my GED. I can get my high set. So
let me maybe explain to me something. And I'm coming from a real ignorant standpoint here of just not knowing, right? So I guess we're primarily talking about immigrants, I suppose, that are trying to learn a second language, right? They come in from Mexico probably or other countries. So if I graduated high school in Mexico and then I immigrated to the U.S., do I have the equivalent of an American high school diploma?
Most of the time, we do. It is equivalent. Sometimes it's even more. I actually have students that were running a clinic in Mexico, and here they're housekeepers.
Right.
So the language barrier is something
right. You can't be a doctor here or run a clinic or be a nurse practitioner or whatever your job was if you can't communicate with the patients for the most part.
Correct.
Right. You hear about that, like they come to the U.S., for the American dream and the opportunity or whatever, and they're like, well, I was a doctor back home, and now I'm working at a convenience store or something like that. And so I kind of like to try to put myself in a reverse situation on that, right? I have a bachelor's degree. I worked in local news in Albuquerque for a long time. I have these skills here that if I moved to another country and I didn't know the language, those skills would not be worth hardly anything.
Right, especially if you don't know the language. I mean, how are you going to tell them what you can do?
Yeah, I worked in local news in Albuquerque for almost 20 years, but I couldn't work at a TV station in Mexico City, right? I just wouldn't have the ability. It'd be very pointless, And so I think that's when I think it's always important that you put yourself in somebody else's position, right? So if I was to immigrate to another country and I didn't know the language, just imagine some of the hardships that you could potentially face, right?
Yes.
I could probably go to the grocery store and figure something out. Right. But where am I working primarily? Right. And then there's all kinds of other barriers that not knowing the traditional native language could really just set you behind. So basically what you're doing is you're opening opportunities for people.
Yes.
Right. So their opportunities can be limited when they don't really speak the language, especially at the level as the locals.
Correct. And it's also, it's also the motivation. It's inspiring them to let them know that there is a chance. I mean, you're not stuck where you're at. So, just continue. I mean, we can learn English. Once you have a little bit of English and you've got that conversation going, then you'd be surprised the confidence that comes out.
Right. Yeah, I could just feel it, and I could just sense it in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
You leave for the day, and you know that you're going to be able to tackle the day and not have to worry about a simple interaction at Wendy's, for example, or something that simple, right? I mean, like that, not even worrying about those things every day really takes a lot off of your chest in a way of speaking, because these are things that we take for granted. A lot of us, native English speakers or grew up in America, we take those things for granted, being able to go to, Walmart or Albertsons and not have to worry about, some of the difficulties that can come from that. You take those, when you don't have those things that you take for granted, I can see how things can become difficult.
Well, and even when, say you want to buy a cell phone and you go, to one of these companies and you don't know what in the world they're trying to sell you.
Yeah, or what you're signing or anything.
What you're signing, exactly. And if there isn't anybody there to translate, then that becomes an issue. And so they're just hoping that what they, are trying to communicate, is successful. And if not, maybe they signed a 10-year contract. I mean, you just never know.
A 10-year contract where it raises $50 every year or something, right? I get confused at those stores. And, I am a native English speaker, right? And I still get confused by what they're trying to sell me. And I always feel like it's a scam to some degree, Like, it's just so much money, I don't get it, All right, so you mentioned something a little, just a couple of sentences ago that I want to kind of get back on, a harp on, if you will. You said free. But this does not cost anybody anything.
This doesn't cost anyone anything.
Okay, so that's an amazing thing. And you only teach English classes, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, because if it was free, I might want to try to learn some Spanish for a little while. But
well, if we can find a volunteer out there that's willing to do it, definitely we'll start the classes.
Yeah, a couple of hours on a Wednesday night is doable.
Mm-hmm.
That's real simple. So we were talking about free. How do you provide something like this for free?
So because we're a nonprofit, we, are busy all the time in trying to find grants. So that's part of my job is I just, look around and try to kind of see where is the, do I qualify for this grant? Is it something that I can try? There's private donations. Ann Wood originally founded the literacy in 1985. So she brought with her a lot of donors. And so it's been some time. I mean, the program has actually been in existence over 35 years.
Right.
And it's functioned off of private donations and, maybe some grants. So this is what we're dedicated to. We just look for any type of, partners in literacy. We have a campaign that we kick off every year. And so those are things that we just look for. The community is really generous. So we're very thankful that they provide what they can.
Well, it's just important for the betterment of the community in general, right? I mean, that's why. So you're donating, but it also helps the business that you own or the business that you run, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it turns around. Everything comes around full circle.
Right. Exactly. So let's get some of this stuff mentioned. Carlsbadliteracyprogram.com. That's a great location to go. Go to the website. You have a Facebook page, I assume?
Yes, we do.
Carlsbad Literacy
Carlsbad
Program?
Literacy
Okay,
Program.
so this is simple, folks. You can get there real easy, right? There'll be a link on their Facebook page somewhere as well, but carlsbadliteracyprogram.com. There's a PayPal window on the website.
Yes.
Right, so you can donate, which is real important. Wednesdays and Thursday nights, they do conversational English-speaking classes. You had an open house not too long ago.
Yes, I did.
Right, you had to kind of, open it back up. Let people know that you're back in business, if you will.
Right. I mean, there's so many people that don't even know that we're out there. It's a lonely little building out there on 12th Street. And
right, across from the high school.
Right from the high school, just a block away. So that's usually what I tell people. If you know where the high school is, drive a block away and I'm right there.
Yeah, my wife and I went to your open house and we hung out. Your facility is beautiful. It feels brand new.
Thank you.
That's what I mentioned. I think I mentioned it to you that night, that it feels brand new in there. I feel like I could still smell the nice, clean paint. You get that new paint smell that you really, that I really enjoy,
Yes.
So you had quite a few people there already. You kind of showed us the classrooms. It was nice to get to meet you, which is how you ended up here, which I appreciate. And then it's nice to know what you guys are doing in the community. And so one thing I noticed, and this might be something that's going to happen in the future for you guys, but I noticed you had a pretty slick-looking computer lab.
Oh, yeah. I love that computer lab. It's available to our students. It's we've got anything they need to work on, resume building, if they want to fill out an application, whatever it is that they need, even if they just need practice, or they want to go online and, do some games or something, that we have a lot of different learning, websites and stuff and things that kind of, they look like games, but they're learning from them. Even though we're adults, we're still all about being interested in having fun. It's real life. We know the situation. Everyone's different. And so this is a great program to go to. It just takes a little bit of your time. And you get to tell us, what time do you want to come and tutor? What time do you, what time are you available?
Yeah, that's excellent. So I know that for those that don't know, the state of New Mexico Constitution technically has two languages, right? State constitutions typically have the language that is to be spoken in the state or was founded in the state or something of that nature. Our state is unique in the fact that we have two. It's English and Spanish, right? So Spanish, according to the state of New Mexico, is a native language to our state, just as much as English is. Right. Right. And I find that interesting for people to know that stuff. I find it very interesting from somebody whose dad was in the military, and the reason we ended up in the state of New Mexico is because of his military service. But I think it's important to mention that, but it's also important to know that if you're going to apply for one of the great companies we have locally, or you want to go work in the oil fields or something like that, and you have to submit a resume online, it's probably better to be submitted in English than it is in Spanish.
Correct.
Even though the state constitution says that Spanish is a native language, right? It's probably going to get a better reach in that regard. So that's just another reason that I'm mentioning to why learning English in our community is quite important.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a necessity. We're all about both languages. I speak fluent Spanish, and so I think that kind of makes the people that enter the program a little bit more comfortable, knowing that they don't have to speak their broken English. We can communicate, and that they know that they're there to learn. And Hopefully, after a couple of months, they'll leave and they'll be, confident. If they want to stay longer, that's perfectly fine. There isn't a time limit. That's the wonderful thing about the program,
Right.
is that we have open enrollment all year long, and it's just kind of catered to the student.
Okay, excellent. So you guys only deal with adults, so that means they have to be 18 and over?
Correct. They have to be 18 and over. We do accept students that are 17 if they are not eligible for any other services.
Okay.
And so it's just basically parent permission. We're very pro-education. So if there is any way that we could, encourage them to continue with credit recovery or anything like that to really reach their high school diploma, then we're going to steer them in that direction.
Okay.
But if this is the option, then, let's get started and let's, go ahead and help them accomplish that credential.
I do a little bit of substitute teaching on the side. The Carlsbad district, they have a real need for substitute teachers. So whenever I can, I like to get in there and help them out. And I was at the high school earlier this year, just filling in for one day, and this young man walks in late, and I'm just like, well, why are you late? I was like, I don't get to put the gravel down that much with these young kids. So, I used my gavel. I was like, why are you late? Right. And the whole class was like, oh, he's a Spanish speaker, And so I was like, there's a huge communication barrier or whatever. And I was like, well, that's cool. So the high schools and these other schools in the district, they have programs to help native Spanish speakers learn English as a second language.
Yes, they have a bilingual program. And actually, I have been on their, attended a couple of their meetings in their council. It's wonderful. I mean, they are doing what they can because of the influx. There's,
right.
and it's not just, Mexico, it's Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Colombia, there's a
and
lot.
all those countries have their own nuances of the language as well.
Yes.
Right. So it's not like, we all speak English in this country for the most part, but if you go to the South, there's some definitely different terms than there is here.
Mm-hmm.
And New England's a little different. The Pacific Northwest, right, it's going to be different. So those countries, not having any knowledge of that, is their language incredibly different, or is it all mostly Spanish?
It's all mostly Spanish. There are some discrepancies that I laugh at because sometimes, I'm from the area, so my Spanish isn't going to be like Colombian Spanish. And so sometimes the translation might even be offensive.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I have to excuse, say, that's not what it means here. And so, they'll kind of ask, and of course they laugh and say, well, that's definitely not what it means in Colombia.
Yeah. I think the biggest contrast, or the biggest analogy that we could probably bring up, is the difference between English, right,
Mm-hmm.
and American English. There are some terms in England that are offensive here in the U.S.
Right.
that they use on an incredibly regular basis, and that we don't use here. And so that could be a very similar comparison for anybody to try to get the idea of what we're talking about, is the idea that there are some terms in England, and they are English, right,
Mm-hmm.
that are much different here and that are not even acceptable to say here.
Right.
So it's important to get over that hump. So you guys do private donations, which you can donate. You do lots of grant writing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do more grant writing than you do teaching?
I have a grant season. So
Oh, okay, yeah, the season for grants.
yeah, there's a season, and they're usually around the same type of deadline. So you'll see me. I won't leave the office at that time.
Right. Grant writing is incredibly difficult. I feel like I don't know if they've gotten any simpler or not, but if you have somebody that knows how to write a grant and obtain grants, they're a very valuable person.
Thank you. It's they can be very difficult. They can ask for a lot of different details. A lot of times, you have to have a specific project in mind.
Right.
So that means being creative. Okay, if I'm looking to receive this grant, what am I going to do with this money? And you have to give them a really good reason. I mean, you have to line it out. So each thing is, it's a lined item. So it's just
Right.
like writing a full-on budget and submitting that. And then if you do receive the grant, that you've been able to go ahead and complete everything that you said you were going to do.
Right, you have
So-
to submit a report at the end of it as well, I'm
Correct.
assuming. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They want to know where it went.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then, typically it's probably a real government organized form as well. So there's just so many hoops that the governments and organizations like this make you jump through, I think.
Yes, it's just a lot of form submitting, budgets. They want to know what you're providing, how many students, And so typically that's what we're looking to grow, because if I can make the program grow and we can reach a lot more people, then we can definitely receive a lot more funding.
Right. It's going to be based off on the number of students that you have and how much money they're going to give you related to that. So we've talked a little bit about the financial side of things, right? You need donations. Carlsbadliteracyprogram.com. Donate. Grant writing brings in funds for you as well. But you mentioned it a few times already, and we'll talk about it again, is volunteers.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Volunteers are very precious. Anything that anyone that can come in and volunteer, if they have a special skill, it doesn't require having a degree in the area. It just requires you being knowledgeable and wanting to share that. We provide the curriculum. We have all of the supplies, anything that they ask for. And then it's pretty much going to go over the testing. So if they're looking into high set, for instance, and they're doing, they need math tutoring, let's say, then it's just pretty much going over, what is it that, you're, lacking in? What are you having trouble with? And so that tutor just needs to help them through that stage. And then we move on. I mean, they go and they take their test. We've been very successful with some students that have come in even just for a short period of time to do reading comprehension.
Right. So do you guys teach more than just English then? You were talking about high set. So if somebody speaks English pretty well but wouldn't pass the math portion, do you guys help with that as well?
Yes, we help with everything. So the high set and the GED, they're based off of different subject areas. So it's math, science, social studies, and language arts, which is reading and writing.
Right.
So that's to get your equivalency. Now, we also help if, for instance, someone just needs to learn basic English, right, in any situation. Then we also assist in citizenship prep. So if someone's looking to go ahead and get their citizenship and they need help in passing the exam, that's something that we also can provide. We have all the materials. All of that is taken care of. And then also someone that is maybe just needing to learn how to maybe comprehend something better. Maybe they just need some basic skills building up. And that's pretty much, I kind of see it as we cater to whatever the need is.
Right.
So a student comes in and says, I want to learn how to read better. I'm not a strong reader. Okay, sure. Let's sit down and let's see what we can do. And then we might do a little pre-test. We might see what's going on. Maybe all they need to do is just continue to read out of a book and then sit down, take a break. Let's talk about it. Do you understand what's going on? There's a lot of different ways to do that. It doesn't mean that you have to go and achieve that credential if that's not what you're looking for, but that is our focus.
I think that's great. And I would imagine there's quite a few Native Americans, if you will, not Native Americans per se, the culture or the people, but I mean people that were born in America that probably couldn't pass the U.S. citizenship test.
Correct. It is very difficult. I mean, some of the questions on there, it's really hard. And then so, they do offer the option that you can take it in Spanish. So the only thing is, if you get to the testing site and there isn't anyone available to give it to you in Spanish, you must be prepared to take it in English.
Oh, so you don't, you're like.
So, or you don't take it at all, and that's
okay.
that.
Right. And then I always love it when somebody becomes a U.S. citizen, because that's something that so many of us just take for granted, right? And so the idea of somebody coming and striving and wanting to be a U.S. citizen, I respect that more than almost anything else that you can really respect out of an individual. You know what I mean? Because we want to welcome people here, despite what the political climate may tell you sometimes, right? We welcome people in our country. We're a country of immigrants. My family was an immigrant at some point in history. And so like anybody that wants to take the steps that my ancestors took as well, you should be nothing but happy and thankful for and try to champion that.
And it's so wonderful because really and truly, these people that are taking this citizenship exam pretty much know a little bit more than us natives that are here, that were born here. I mean, how much education that they have to acquire just to take the exam isn't just because, I just studied for the test. It's because it requires learning the history of the United States.
Right, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So let's talk a little bit about, we're pretty close to the end of time, and that always happens. It always goes real fast when you have somebody as passionate as you speaking on the other end of it, so, by the way. So let's talk about the future of the Carlsbad Literacy Center, your hopes and your dreams as the executive director.
Well, I would love to see it grow. I'm asking for volunteers, anybody that can help tutor in reading, writing, math, science, social studies.
What type of math are we talking about? I'm interrupting you for a second. We're not talking about algebra, right?
We're talking all the way up to trigonometry.
All right, forget it. Okay, forget it. You want to do addition, subtraction? I'm your man. But beyond that, forget it.
Yeah, that's definitely on the exam for the high set students and GED students. Sometimes they fall into that. Even if it's one question, you've got to pass it. So it's a little tough. But all areas, we have, we need computer literacy classes and just anybody who's willing to really inspire and improve a life.
Right, help better our community in general.
Absolutely. I mean, these students, the adults come in and, we take for granted that, we go to work and we're educated and we know what to do. And, sometimes it's that one tiny step that you just need to help them with so they can understand how to communicate, that they do have options and there are choices and they're not stuck in a housekeeping job. They are able to go and work in an office and that might be the only dream that they have. Right. So we can help them accomplish it.
Right. For somebody that's never, I clean the house here occasionally, but beyond that, for somebody that's never actually done housekeeping work, the idea of aspiring to an office job, an executive assistant job, or, for lack of a better term, a secretary or something like that, those are great jobs.
Right.
Right. And we need people of all kinds in our country to work every type of job possible. So anything that we can do to give them a step up, anything that you can do to give them a step up and help their dream become realized and give their family a better life. Just because they speak Spanish doesn't mean they're going anywhere. They're in our community, right? We want to help them learn a better language learn English better, I should say, right?
Right.
We want to help them succeed because when everybody in our community succeeds, the community succeeds in general. Oh,
there's a major turnaround. Everyone benefits.
Right.
Everyone benefits. If you've got, especially I think companies that maybe start off with the laborer and then that laborer later becomes, a crew, crew chief. And then, after that, a supervisor. These are steps that are necessary. And if they've been in the field a long time, why can't they achieve them?
Right, exactly. And then they could be passed over for something that we don't want them to be passed over. They could be the most qualified, but, your English isn't that great.
Exactly.
Right. And we don't want that to happen to somebody who's earned the spot, right? Who's done the work to get there.
And that's just been years and years, I think, of just what we've had trouble with in the community is there are people who have been in their jobs for 30 plus years and they know their job well, but because they don't know the language, they are not going to go into a supervisory position.
Right. So Lenora Mendez, Executive Director of the Carlsbad Literacy Program. Sounds like you're doing great work. Your excitement is incredible. Why don't you go ahead and give us the website again so people can donate. Give us the address of your location and also give us a phone number to give you guys a call at.
Okay, so if you want to come and see me, you can visit me at 511 North 12th Street. And our website is carlsbadliteracy.com. Also visit us on Facebook, Carlsbad Literacy Program. And you can reach us at 575-885-1752.
575-885-1752. Carlsbadliteracyprogram.com. Is the word program in the website?
Yes.
Okay. And then Carlsbad Literacy Program on Facebook as well. Lenora Mendez, I look forward to having you on as a guest many times, especially as you hit some additional milestones and as we grow. And then here at KCCC, we want to do everything we can to help your organization grow because you guys are doing great things for the community. We love having somebody like you on. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.